Putnam County was one of 8 Wave 1 counties to be awarded the National Institute of Health Healing Communities study, which was focused on implementing evidence-based ways to reduce opioid overdose. So that was really the beginning of us being able to create relationships with data sharing partners, and really start to kind of hatch this idea of the need for an overdose fatality team. So we had these champions like Paul talked about, myself working at one of the nonprofits at the time, Shanna working from our Department of Health, our coroner's office, our Bureau of Emergency Services that oversaw our emergency medical team and had access to our EMS CAD data. So coming together to kind of really start to talk about this, but it was so nebulous. We had no idea at the time how we would actually carry this out. So we partnered with IIR and sent some of our public health fellows down to the conference and really learned a lot about the various toolkits. But as Lisa kind of already outlined, we felt completely overwhelmed by the data and the various toolkits that were available. So we continued to participate with IIR in various trainings, and we felt very lucky to have gone through next of kin interviews and really started to develop some infrastructure and framework around how we might be able to do this. Paul traveled out to Indiana, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yes. And he was able to shadow one of the other groups that are doing fatality reviews out there and came back with some really great direction and recommendation from that experience. And we also attended a local overdose fatality team up there in Dutchess, which is the county just north of us. And there were so many discrepancies between the way things were going, the way people were sharing information. So again, it kind of made us feel like we took a step back in our planning process. And, this county is able to do that. This state is able to do that, where we, don't have a clear pathway to achieving those various things, those various data agreements, or some of the other obstacles that Lisa did such a great job outlining. So after these years of research, we really felt, again, like we needed help in that final step of deciding what it is that we could do. And so when Lisa and Jim came to us with this idea of this toolkit and piloting this, that was really the key that we needed to be able to, one, have kind of a authority, if you will, to say there's no one right way to do this, and the way that you guys are planning to do this can work. And that was so very helpful. So we were able to get the materials from that toolkit and send it out to those champions that Paul and I talked about, and have them take a look at the various templates of what we might share in that mock OFR. And they were able to give feedback that helped Paul and myself really understand how they are going to be able to play a part in our real OFR. So it really kind of gave us that tangible piece of evidence that we needed to understand, okay, this is how it's going to work for this tabletop exercise, but here's how we can even personalize it to work for when we really get our boots up, on the ground and get running with our own actual OFR. So, some of our main challenges in the beginning, once we had a framework, because we have such diverse stakeholder partners, there was a question of where this would live. Would it live with the Department of Health, or would it live with us here in Department of Mental Health? And so it really took a lot of discussions between our leadership to kind of come together with this shared ownership of this initiative between public health and between mental health, so that we were able to move forward. One of the first things that we did prior to the mock exercise was hold a stakeholder meeting with our county leadership and with some of the key figures that were identified, in order to present what this would look like and the precedent that existed for things like some of those obstacles that Lisa outlined, data sharing, legal agreements, how we would navigate some of the privacy issues that come up, and how we were going to move forward with next of kin and gathering that information. Paul, feel free to jump in here at any time. I feel like I'm going to take over the whole thing.
Doing a great job.
Great. So one of the main things that we still struggle with, like Liz had said, we had no earmarked funding for this. And so, the mock OFR also helped us identify how are we going to create this in a sustainable fashion moving forward. And we did not get any identified funding for this. We really just had to identify who in our shared partnerships between the Department of Health and that public health sector and Department of Mental Health, what could we take from the existing workforce and put that energy towards this effort? So that's how we're moving forward. One of our biggest issues, even after the mock OFR and our first OFR that we hosted, which is a combined suicide and overdose fatality review. We hosted our first one in October. We learned a lot. And one of our biggest obstacles still is that we do not have funding for a data coordinator. So we're really relying on the skills within that identified shared partnership to move us forward with interpreting and analyzing the data that we do have at both a state and a local level. Okay. So, I think that what we really took from it, Lisa said a phrase that I think was really helpful for us, and in their mentorship was helpful in us actually launching, was that we did not need to perfect the exercise and we did not need to perfect the logistics behind what we were doing. We just needed to do the best we could and help it fit our county and our community as best we could. And that was the confidence that we needed to move forward and really move into the actual exercise of the OFR. I will say that having experienced that mock OFR, we all of our partners, all of our stakeholders, all of our wonderful champions, we all had to go through the motion to really manifest what this is going to look like and really feel going through the motions of how we're going to do this. And doing that with the compassion of understanding that this is based on real individuals, but it wasn't one of our community members. It wasn't an actual individual that in our smaller county has so many touch points to our champions and our stakeholders. So that was very helpful. I will say coming out on the other end of it that we feel very confident. We are about to go into our second overdose fatality review here in March. We're launching our next of kin interviews in the next couple of days, actually. So I'm so very grateful for this exercise and this opportunity. And I can fully say that utilizing these tools really gave us the foundation that we needed to be able to continue to grow and move forward and have a successful OFR.
And one thing to add is that, when we did the mock OFR, there was some trepidation on the part of the providers because although we had sort of walked through, what our thoughts were, what our goals were, people, this has never happened here. So people didn't know what to expect. But I will say, in Lisa's video there, you could see the turnout that we got was really, I was sort of blown away by how many people showed up, and everyone was really, really, participated, asked good questions, took it really seriously. But, everyone left that mock feeling really invigorated and
Mhm.
excited about moving forward. And it really sort of built a consensus that one, we're ready, but two, that this makes sense and it's going to be really good. We made, there were partnerships that developed out of that mock of, folks who hadn't come to previous committees or previous meetings, but they came to that mock review and then they were interested and now they were engaged. And so, we've built partnerships just based off of that mock review that have been, really, really, really great to see moving forward. And now they're just a big part of what we do, not just in reviewing fatalities, but just in the work, the everyday work that we do here.